What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode with your boy Phrankleen. So on Friday I put up a snippet on my YouTube channel saying, why do black folks idolize religious leaders, right? It was a 1 minute clip. It's like a teaser, and yeah, quite a lot of you commented, which to get the conversation going. Well, the comments are quite interesting. Some of them are aligned with some of the things I'm going to talk about briefly in this video. There are a few comments here that I actually like. Somebody said, good question, Phrankleen. Why? Actuality, the more religious, the more problems. Somebody said, there's one that I like. So black people idolize religious leaders because they are taught that the preacher is the only man or woman close to the supreme being or close to the man on the cross, and since those beings are seen as pure, the preacher, so-called religious leader, is basically seen as that. And also, since they are taught that whenever we feel vulnerable we should run to these religious leaders, that's why they do so. I love that. Somebody said, Victoria Akomolide, one of the subscribers, she said, hello Phrankleen. Said, to answer this particular video, I believe we idolize religious leaders due to how we were raised during childhood, societal norms and values. Absolutely. We need to start thinking for ourselves. Sometimes it's fear that stops us from moving forward. Very, very nice comments. Somebody said it's because, we have been indoctrinated from a very young age. That's one of my favorite points. That's why I refuse my children to go down that route. I want them to have an opinion and think outside the box. Marvelous. No religious nonsense in my household. I only go to church if invited by someone, and it better be important. Lack of education contributes a lot. This is now compounded by extreme poverty, using Nigeria as a case point. I love this one. These issues render people open to financial and emotional abuse. I love that. There's quite a few, comments under that video snippet. You can go and watch it, okay? Now, I think you sort of get the gist, right? These it forms a major part of, some of the fundamental problems that we deal with within the black community. But I'm addressing how, this brainwashing and being idolizing this religious, most of the time they're self-proclaimed religious leaders, how they've destroyed the lives of so many of us within the black community. So many marriages, so many people have been brainwashed and mentally entrapped. They can't even afford to think by themselves, and they can ask questions. You dare not challenge the religious leaders or think outside the box, like somebody rightly said. And the threats, these are all lies. Threats of you'll be cursed, you'll be banished to hell, you wouldn't prosper in life, and the list goes on. And even in some circumstances, some of the people that allow themselves to be entrapped by this nonsense, some of them are, in fact, on one hand, you find out that they're educated, they got degrees, they got good jobs and stuff. And I look at them and I think, and with all your degree and all your accolades and all your business and whatever you've achieved for yourself, you still allow yourselves to be mentally chained by some, charlatans and stuff. But let me cut the chase, okay? The truth of the matter is, religion is, it's a global problem. But as I always say, I always put disclaimer, whatever floats your boat. I'm not intolerant. I speak for myself. I talk about my beliefs. But whatever floats your boat, okay? But having said that, as a black man, I love my own kind. I love my people. I believe that, for example, particularly because I live in the West, I live abroad, I've said in previous videos that the black community is almost non-existent because there is no togetherness. We are at the bottom end of the spectrum when it comes to, looking at other communities and how people are doing good and stuff like that. There is no unity. We suffer a lot. But having said that, when you hear that we're at the bottom end of the spectrum, what we really don't talk about is the fact that the black community we turn over huge amounts of money by way of religious gatherings and all that stuff, and we hardly use those funds and those monies to affect ourselves positively, improve our community, help ourselves to grow, set up businesses, network, improve our children, our family, our units, and become a powerhouse. Nope, no we don't. Well, with regards to these religious leaders, somebody pushed me an email when I put out the snippets and said he basically, his previous marriage, hit the rocks, was smashed to smithereens because his woman, his ex-wife, according to that email, wouldn't stop listening to this pastor who always had something to say. As soon as they had misunderstanding, they wouldn't work on that relationship. She would run to the pastor, and whatever the pastor tells her, that's final. So she said eventually they stopped making love to each other. They stopped communicating, and everything just dried up until the relationship, was shattered. And then 2 years after separation, he found out that his ex-wife was actually having an affair with a pastor. Wow! But I'm not particularly surprised. There are numerous stories like that, okay? And some of them, even if they're not exactly sleeping with your partner, they're probably having monetary benefits. So they're the ones that will hound your husband or your wife or both of you and say you've got to pay your tithe and stuff because a pastor that's getting monetary benefits. Imagine if I'm sat here, a pastor knows that every month £500 comes from my pocket into his basket. He knows he would do anything and everything to make sure that I carry on giving that £500. And imagine what the £500 might be able to do to my own family, my wife and kids, and my bills, even me personally on personal projects. But such men of God would do everything and anything to make sure that, in fact, they get more than the £500 from you. So, in a nutshell, like somebody rightly said, in the societal norms, unfortunately, right from childhood, this grooming starts from Sunday school, passed down from your parents. Most of the time, they don't know any better themselves. No disrespect, but this is the harsh truth. So these parents themselves don't know any better. It's forced down your lungs. And the way most of us were raised in Africa, the kids don't get the chance. You don't get the chance to express yourself. You don't have a say. You go to Sunday school, you go to the mosque, you go to this, you go to that. It's got to be so. It's got to be so. You don't challenge them. You don't ask any questions. You do as you're told. And the vicious cycle goes on. A lot of these pastors are charlatans. They're scammers. These religious leaders, they are scammers. And people just, buy into whatever they say without asking questions. Like I said earlier, you are basically threatened with, if you say this to the man of God, touch not my anointed, do my prophet no harm, blah, 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 and all that nonsense. If you ask questions or too many questions, if you say this is going to happen to you. So a lot of people have this fear embedded in their minds and their brains, and they just let it go. They siphon money, they take advantage. They've destroyed so many homes, so many lives. So all I'm saying in a nutshell is, if you don't break yourself away from that cycle, you're in a relationship or you're living as an individual, and it's worse that there are people with health problems. You were told by a doctor that you've got cancer and you have to go start your chemotherapy, go start your treatment, and they've told you that, if you start now, you have the chances of surviving and stuff, and you run to a pastor. There was a case of a woman who her pastor said it's demonic that the doctor told her that she was going to have a planned C-section. She listened to a pastor, and the pastor said, change your hospital, you must have natural birth. And the woman ended up dying. She endangered the life of the baby as well. There are people who are ill that need to take medication so they can get better. Your pastor's telling them to drink from a bloody bottle of an anointing oil that they charge you money for, and you end up killing yourself. I know someone who had bowel cancer, but they deprived themselves from going to get medical treatment because the pastor said so. And then by the time they'd gone round and round and round and wasted time, the cancer worsened, right? And then at that time they had become terminally ill. And what do you think happened? They died. The person today has been dead now for about 5 years now. What's left for family and loved ones is just memories. There's so many people like that in our community. I just hope that the black man, the black woman can break free, you know? I was thinking about making this video, and it's one of those things I'll sit back and then I'd have these notes all written out. But I just say, you know what, F it. I'm just going to flow whatever comes to my mind. If you like, you follow. If you like, you don't. But 9 out of 10 times, those people are liars. They've destroyed people's lives. If you got in a relationship, I always say to people, I'm not a relationship expert. I'm just a regular dude. I try to use my life as an example, who believes in positivity, right? If you're having issues with your partner, except, extenuating circumstances where there is domestic violence, there's a threat to your existence, go and speak to the police, okay? Get out. That's a different conversation totally. But the day-to-day relationship where, things have gone slightly banana-shaped and stuff, sit down and put your best into it. Put your work into it. Amalgamate your forces. Make it work is all I'm saying. Fuck those pastors, man. And those imams, to hell with them. They're destroying your lives. They're siphoning your funds. They're lying to you to cater to their selfish, ulterior motives. It's as simple as that. That's me done. If this is your cup of tea, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It's your boy Phrankleen, and I'll definitely catch you in the next one. Peace and love. Bye now.